Well, as we have been talking about on the channel for multiple days now, we do actually have Tropical Storm Dawn in the Atlantic here. So we've reached that D name, the fourth named storm, and it is only July. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule here. We do anticipate a more active hurricane season, so all signs are pointing towards getting further into the named storms at least than what is typical. We're well on pace for that, and conditions are expected to be quite ripe for above average activity later on as well. So again, all signs are pointing towards that. We're also going to be going over the upcoming pattern as well, just the upcoming storminess. Things are going to be very, very active in the east as they have been for most of the summer. A little bit more cold air showing up on the models than we've even been talking about already, so we have to go over that as well. So be sure to stay tuned. We do need to talk about our business prestige weather real quickly. You can join over there for $4.99 a month in the pinned comment and description down below. That'll take you to our website. We do have a tutorial video up now for how to join and how to use our services. We have consulting calls. We have a lot more on the way that I cannot discuss with you today. That is very, very exciting. Probably the coolest features are yet to come for our services. And also we do early releases of seasonal and monthly forecasts over there. So if you want early access to those things, be sure to check it out. Let's get into things. Again, we do have Tropical Storm Dawn here sitting in the very, very middle of the Atlantic. 45 knots or 55, or better yet, 50 miles per hour, 1,002 millibars, and it's moving north at 5 knots, which is relatively slow actually. As we take a look at the cone forecast here, we can see we expect this to kind of just keep on that northern trajectory until about Sunday, where it sharply turns to the right and then back down to the south actually. So it might end up actually further south than it started here, still as a tropical storm or subtropical storm by next Wednesday. So we actually have quite a bit of time here where it's going to make that full curvature. As you can tell, pretty much no land is at risk of being impacted at this point with this one. I never say never here on the channel, but it doesn't appear likely at this point that we're going to see this one lead towards any sort of landfall impacts, which is extremely good news. So that is the best news I have to give you about this one. There's no real confirmation about what we expect that intensity to look like, other than we expect it to maintain subtropical storm or tropical storm status all the way through Wednesday. So it's expected to kind of maintain, not intensifying to hurricane isn't really expected, and not downgrading back down to depression status at all. Now, let's just go ahead and move on and talk about that upcoming pattern now. And as you can see, already by today, we actually have some thunderstorm activity taking place here along the eastern seaboard. Pretty heavy activity, actually, especially in that mid-Atlantic corridor. But really up and down from Florida to Maine, we have thunderstorms active around for the eastern states. As we take a look here at the plains, so South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky, there we have a lot of thunderstorm activity going on at this point. Now, as we go ahead and transition towards tomorrow, Saturday the 15th here, we can see that there is thunderstorm activity basically east of that kind of Mississippi River area. So we're taking a look at something like this. It's actually a lot more like this. I think it follows the line all the way up until Minnesota and then kind of just goes into the heart of Minnesota there. So that is your Mississippi River. And just to the east of there, as you can see, and everywhere all the way to the eastern seaboard is going to have chances of thunderstorms tomorrow. But directly to the west of that Mississippi River, a lot quieter. There is some isolated and scattered activity in there, but nothing like we see east of that line. So it's kind of interesting how that's a perfect border for the day on Saturday. For Sunday, I mentioned this yesterday, it looks a lot like Friday, so the eastern seaboard pretty exclusively seeing these active thunderstorms there on Sunday, the 16th. And then we can see that there is another system here around for the upper Midwest, bringing more thunderstorms as well for those areas, and that is what we're seeing at this point. By the time we take a look at Monday, the 17th here, we have a little bit of thunderstorm activity here in the southeast, a little bit as well here for the Ohio Valley there, and a lot here going on for eastern Canada, as you can see, pretty widespread. Also western Canada seeing quite a bit with this 998 millibar low pressure center. We can tell by this point the jet stream is doing this, so we've been seeing a lot of massive troughs for this time of year, and this is another frame where it's very, very evident that we have air pouring in from the Arctic. This is why I continuously keep calling for Arctic blasts, because we see Arctic air blasting into the United States. That is my definition of an Arctic blast. So if that's in question, that is my answer. Tuesday, the 18th here, we can see that for the northern half of the East Coast, we have still some pretty active thunderstorms. The southern half a little bit less active, although we do see some over Florida there still. We have our low here over, I think that's Saskatchewan. I don't know what I'm saying right now, guys. I am so sorry. Saskatchewan. I don't know. What am I even saying here, guys? You got to correct me. I live in the United States. I try to remember all the provinces up there in Canada, but, you know, there you go. I butchered that one. Anyway, I think that is Saskatchewan. Anyway, we see down here an extension from that, creating some thunderstorm activity kind of in this direction here from that low up above. As we keep going with this Wednesday, wow, I'm really embarrassed about how I said that. I'm not going to delete it, though, because I have to own it. For the upper Midwest and Northern Plains, we see some thunderstorms as well as down through the Ohio Valley. We definitely are dealing with some thunderstorms and still some isolated activity for the eastern seaboard, but a little bit quieter here by Wednesday. Thursday here, what we end up seeing is a little bit of just this low still around. It's very, very weak by this point, but we have some thunderstorms around for this area. You know, it's funny, that might have even been Alberta I was talking about. I don't know why I can't let it go, but I can't. For Friday here on the 21st, we see there is some scattered about thunderstorms for this area, I would say. There's nothing too persistent going on at this point, so it's going to be pretty spotty. But Friday does look a little bit stormy for this area that I'm circling. As you can see, everywhere north, south, and west of this is pretty quiet, though. For Saturday here on the 22nd, we can see that the East Coast is actually going to get quite a bit more active here. For that kind of southeast, mid-Atlantic, and northeast area here. We're definitely taking a look at quite a bit of activity here. And then finally for Sunday, the 23rd, we could see a little bit quieter, but we do see some spotty activity here again in the east. And again, look at our jet stream here, guys. Definitely still taking a look at some Arctic air making its way down into the eastern states. And we see kind of this Gulf, more humid, and some of that Pacific air as well, probably coming in as well. But overall, warmer air surging northward here for the west, which is kind of what is creating this unbalance that is forcing that cold air southward. Definitely, that's playing a huge, huge role at this point. Now, for the total precipitation, as a rule of thumb, we always say the red is above average. That's going to be 2 to 5 inches of precipitation. Pretty much everywhere averages less than that for a 10-day period here, even during the summer. So we can see there's quite a few areas here going on. We see some for the plains into the Ohio Valley. We see some here for the northeast into the mid-Atlantic. And then we see some here for the southeast. There is some separation in between, but overall, I'm going to draw it here for you guys. Most of these areas in here are going to be above average, especially there in the northeast and the kind of just the eastern seaboard in general there, but especially more widespread over the northeast there. And they've been dealing with some flooding, so certainly not really needed at this point, but we are going to tack more onto those totals, it does appear. Now, let's go ahead and just dive into the temperature pattern where we do see some cooler air is on the way. We see this Arctic blast taking place here. It has officially blasted in from the Arctic region. So again, that's where I get my definition from. This warm air is surging northward, even further north than we can even see on screen here. And that is what is creating the unbalance that is forcing this cold air further southward there on the eastern end of things. And we see this kind of continue. I mean, the cold is still around even by the 22nd here. We still see this strong positive PNA, which is going to continue to allow this to take place. It's a pretty thin band, and it's pretty mild, but we do see cooler air in general around. And this sticks around all the way through the end of the model run. As you can see, for the 29th of July, we still see neutral to below normal temperatures here in the east. So likely at this point going to go down as a colder summer overall for all of these areas that have been seeing consistently cooler temperatures, or at least semi-consistently. It's been pretty hot lately, but we do expect this colder pattern to return here for the second half of July. Anyway, guys, be sure to check out the Prestige weather like I was talking about. So many cool things on the way for those of you that join that. So be sure to check it out in the pinned comment and description down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more weather-related content just like this one. I do actually upload every single day, so be sure to check it out. Even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.